Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the lecture on Module 3 Switching. Switching can be discussed on several layers. We have switching at the physical layer, at the data link layer, at the network layer, and even at the application layer. But in this chapter, we are going to discuss about switching, that is circuit switching at physical layer and packet switching at the data link and network layer. So first we'll see why switching is needed. A network is a set of connected devices. Whenever we have multiple devices, we have the problem of how to connect them to make one-to-one communication possible. So there are different ways. We can go for a point-to-point connection between each pair of devices. Maybe mesh topology you can go for, or between a central device and every other device we can go for star topology. But most of the time this method will become impractical and wasteful when we will apply it into large network. That is, the number and length of the links required is too much, and majority of these links would be idle most of the time. So here the better solution is switching. A switched network consists of a series of interlinked nodes called as switches. Switches are devices capable of creating temporary connection between two or more devices linked to the switch. In a switched network, some of these nodes are connected to the end systems. End system in the sense it may be a computer or telephone. This is an example for switched network. Here you can see there are different end systems labeled as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I and J. And there are together 5 switches which are labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here you can see each of the switch will connect multiple links. So here in this particular switch will connect two end systems, that is three end systems A, B and J. Traditionally, we are going to discuss about 3 different methods for switching, that is circuit switched networks, packet switched network and message switched networks. So here nowadays only 2 exist, that is circuit switched networks and packet switched networks. And again this packet switched network is divided into datagram networks and virtual circuit networks. So first we'll see how switching occur and with respect to TCP IP layers. So first we'll see what you mean by switching at physical layer. At the physical layer we have only circuit switching. There are no packet exchange at the physical layer. The switches at the physical layer allow signal to travel in one path or another. With respect to data link layer, at the data link layer we have packet switching. Here packet means it is a frame or cell. Packet switching at the data link layer is normally done using virtual circuit approach. Switching at network layer. At the network layer we have packet switching. In this case, either a virtual circuit approach or datagram approach can be used. Currently, the internet uses datagram approach. Switching at the application layer. At the application layer, we can have only message switching. The communication at the application layer occur by exchanging the messages. For example, we can consider the communication using email as a kind of message switching communication. Now we'll see about each of these switched networks. So first we will start with circuit switched network. A circuit switched network consists of a set of switches connected by physical links. A connection between two stations is a dedicated path made up of one or more links. Each connection uses only one dedicated channel on each link. Each link is normally divided into n channels by using FDM or TDM, frequency division, or using time slots. So a circuit switching network is made up of set of switches connected by physical links, in which each link is divided into n different. This is an example for circuit switched network. Here you can see there are 4 different switches and there are 4 different links, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here each link is divided into n channels. For example, this link is divided into 3 channels, either using FDM or TDM. So here usually this multiplexing is implicit, but it is shown here just for the purpose to show that one link is divided into 3 different channels in this case. So here A and M are the end systems. These may be either computer or telephone that are directly connected to the switch. So when end system A need to communicate with end system M, system A need to request a connection to M that must be accepted by all the switches as well as M itself. This is called as a setup phase. Here a circuit is reserved, or a circuit or a channel is reserved on each link, and the combination of circuits or channels define the dedicated path between A and M. After the dedicated path made of connected circuit is established, the data transfer can take place between A and M. After all data have been transferred, the circuits are turned down. This is tear down phase. So in circuit switching, the resource need to be reserved during the setup phase. The resources remain dedicated for the entire duration of data transfer until the tear down phase occur. So here we need to emphasize on several points. That is, circuit switching takes place always at the physical layer. Before starting the communication, the station must make a reservation for the resources to be used during communication. These resources, such as channel, switch buffer, switch processing time and switch input-output port, must remain dedicated during the entire duration of data transfer until the tear down phase. Data transfer between the two stations are not packetized because physical layer always transfer signals. The data are a continuous flow sent by the source station and received by the destination station. There is no addressing involved during data transfer. The switches route the packet based upon the occupied band, that is based upon FDM or time slot TDM. The end-to-end addressing is used during the setup phase. Just look at this example. This is an example for circuit switched network. So here you can see a circuit switched network is used to connect 8 telephones in a small area, 4 on this side, 4 on this side. The communication is through a 4 kilohertz voice channel. Each telephone is connected to a switched network, circuit switched network, through a 4 kilohertz network, 0 to 4 kilohertz. We assume that each link uses FDM to connect maximum number of 2 voice channel. So here each link, that is this link, can be used to connect at max 2 telephones. So here you can see this link capacity is 8 kilohertz. At a time it can connect 2 telephones because each telephone is connected by means of 4 kilohertz channel. So here you can see telephone 1 is connected using this link and 2 is connected using this particular link. So here you can see telephone 1 is connected to telephone 7, or 2 to 5, 3 to 8 and 4 to 6. So the situation may change whenever the new connections are made, the switch control the connection. So this is an example for circuit switched network. Three phases. The actual communication in circuit switched network require three phases. That is, first phase is called as connection setup phase, data transfer phase, and connection tear down phase. So here, first one, connection setup phase. So before the two parties can communicate, a dedicated circuit need to be established. The end systems are normally connected through dedicated lines to the switch. So connection setup means creating dedicated channel between the switches. Just consider this example. So here, when a system A need to connect to M, first it will send a setup request that include address of the system M to switch 1. So first A will send a request to switch 1, which that request has the address of M. Switch 1 finds a channel between itself and switch 4 which finds a dedicated channel between itself and switch 3. Then switch 3 informs system M of A's intention at this time. In the next step to make the connection, a acknowledgement from system M need to be sent in the opposite direction to the system A. Only after system A receive the acknowledgement, the connection is established. The next phase is data transfer phase. After the establishment of dedicated circuit or channel, the two parties can transfer the data. And the last phase is tear down phase. That is, when one of the party needs to disconnect, a signal is sent to each switch to release the resources. So at the end of the connection, all the resources are released. Now, what is the efficiency of this circuit switched network? Circuit switched networks are not efficient as the other two types of network because resources are allocated during the entire duration of connection. These resources are unavailable to other connection. For example, you just consider in a telephone network. People normally terminate the communication when they have finished their conversation. But if you consider a computer network, a computer can be connected to another computer even if there is no activity for long duration of time. Next is delay. Even the circuit switched network normally has low efficiency, but the delay in this type of network is minimal. During the data transfer phase, the data are not delayed at each switches because the resources are allocated for the duration of connection during the setup phase. So this diagram will show the delay in circuit switched network. So here only two switches are used in this example. So in this example, we will consider no waiting time at each of the switches. There is no waiting time. The total delay is due to the time needed to create the connection. This part, create the connection, transfer the data and disconnect the circuit. The delay caused by the setup is the sum of four parts, that is the propagation time of the source computer request, the request signal transfer time, that is the height of this box, the propagation time of the acknowledgement from the destination computer, and the signal transfer time of the acknowledgement, this height. The delay due to the data transfer is sum of two parts, that is the propagation time, that is the slope, and the data transfer time, that is the height, which can be very long. The third box shows the time needed to tear down the circuit. So this is the total delay associated in a circuit switch network. So switching at physical layer in the traditional telephone networks uses circuit switching approach. Then next we will look at what I mean by packet switching. In data communication, we need to send messages from one end system to another. If the message is going to pass through a packet switched network, it needs to be divided into packets of fixed or variable length. The size of the packet is determined by the network and the governing protocol. So here we are going to discuss about routing table, efficiency of packet switching network, delay and datagrams in network. So in a packet switching network, there is no resource reservation. Resources are allocated on time. That is, in a packet switching network, there is no resource allocation for a packet. This means that there is no reservation bandwidth on the link and there is no scheduled processing time for each packets. Resources are allocated on demand. The allocation is always done on first come first served basis. When a switch receives a packet, no matter what the source or destination, the packet must wait if there are other packets being processed in that switch. You can consider the example of a restaurant. That is, if we do not have a reservation at the restaurant, we have to wait. Similarly, if the resources is not available in the switch, the packet has to wait. We have two types of packet switched networks, that is datagram networks and virtual circuit networks. Now we'll see what I mean by datagram networks. In a datagram network, each packet is treated independently of all other. Even if a packet is part of multi-packet transmission, the network treats it as it exists alone. Packet in this approach is also referred as datagrams. The datagram switching is normally done in network layer. The figure will show the datagram approach used to deliver 4 packets from station A to the station X. The switches in a datagram networks are also traditionally referred as routers. So here you can see, instead of switches, router symbol is used. So in this example, we have 4 different packets, 1, 2, 3, 4 belongs to the same message but may travel different paths to reach the destination X. So here you can see 4 packets 1, 2, 3, 4 will take different routes in the datagram network and it will arrive at the destination out of order. Also, these will reach the destination with different delays since they will pass through different routers. And also, some of the packet may also be lost or dropped because of lack of resources. But in this case, we will receive all the packets. So, whenever packets reaches the destination out of order, it will be the responsibility of upper layer protocol to reorder the datagram or ask for lost datagrams before passing them on to the application. These datagram networks also sometimes referred as connectionless networks. The term connectionless here means that the switch does not keep information about the connection state. There are no setup or tear down phase. Each packet is treated the same by the switch regardless of its source and destination. So if there are no setup or tear down phases, how are the packets routed to their destination in a datagram network? So we'll see, that is using the routing table. In this type of network, each switch has a routing table which is based on destination address. These routing tables are dynamic in nature and are updated periodically. The destination address and the corresponding forwarding output ports are recorded in the table. So each table will have 2 entries. One is the destination address and the next one is the corresponding output port. This is different from the table of a circuit switch network in which each entry is created whenever the setup phase is completed and deleted whenever teardown phase is over. So the figure will show the routing table in a datagram network. So here each of the routing table will have the destination address, and in order to reach that destination address, which output port need to be followed by that packet. So here you can see this switch has 1 2 3 4 ports. So this is in order to reach the destination. For example, to reach destination 1 2 3 2, the packet has to follow output port 1. A switch in a datagram network uses a routing table that is based upon the destination address. Next, we'll see what you mean by this destination address. Every packet in a datagram network carries a header. This header contains the destination address of the packet along with the other information. So when the switch receives the packet, this destination address is examined. The routing table is consulted to find the corresponding port through which packet should be forwarded. The destination address in the header of a packet in a datagram network remains same during the entire journey of the packet. So here packet destination address will not be changed by the intermediate routers or switches. What's the efficiency of this datagram network? The efficiency of a datagram network is better than that of the circuit switch networks because the resources are allocated only when there are packet to be transferred. If a source send a packet and there is a delay of few minutes before another packet can be sent, the resources can be reallocated during these minutes for other packets from other sources. That is, the resources can be used by other sources if there is a delay. Now, what's the delay associated? There may be a greater delay in the datagram network than in a virtual circuit network. Although there are no setup and teardown phases, each packet may experience a wait at a switch before it is forwarded. In addition, since not all packets in a message travels through the same switches, the delay is not uniform for the packets of a message. The figure shows the delay associated in the datagram network. So here again there are two routers associated. Station A wants to send data into B. So here you can see along with each router there is a waiting time associated. So here packet will always pass through two switches. So there are total three transmission times, and there will be three propagation delay, 1, 2 and 3, and two waiting times, that is this waiting time and this one waiting time, W2. So the transmission times, this is the transmission time totally you can consider it as 3t, and the propagation delay, that is this slope, you can consider it as total 3 tau. So what we can calculate is the total delay. Delay it will become 3t, 3 times transmission time plus 3 times propagation delay and 2 waiting times, that is one at router 1, other one is at router 2. Switching in internet is done by using datagram approach to packet switching at network layer. Next we will see about virtual circuit networks. A virtual circuit network is a cross between a circuit switch network and datagram network. So we are going to make use of some features of circuit switch network, that is connection setup and teardown, and the approaches in the datagram network, that is the packet forwarding. So here totally we are going to discuss about addressing three phases of virtual circuit networks: efficiency and delay, and circuit switch technology in one. So a virtual circuit network is a cross between a circuit switch network and a datagram network. It has some characteristics of both. As a circuit switch network, there are setup and tear down phases in addition to the data transfer phase. Resources can be allocated during the setup phase as in circuit switch network, or on demand as in the datagram network. As in a datagram network, data are packetized and each packet carries an address in the header. As in the circuit switch network, all the packets follow the same path established during connection. A virtual circuit network is normally implemented in the data link layer, while a circuit switch network is implemented in the physical layer, and a datagram network in the network layer. But this may change in future. So figure shows a virtual circuit network. The network has switches that allow the traffic from source to the destination. The source or destination, this may be a computer, packet switch, bridges, or any other devices that connect other networks. So here you can see there are total 4 end systems: A, C, B and D, and there are total 6 different switches. Addressing. In a virtual circuit network, two types of addressings are involved: global and local. Global addressing: a source or a destination need to have global address, an address that can be unique in the scope of the network and or internationally if the network is part of international network. So this is an address that is unique in the scope of network. The next one is virtual circuit identifier. The identifier that is actually used for data transfer is called as virtual circuit identifier, or the label. A VCI, virtual circuit identifier, unlike a global address, is a small number that has only switch scope. It is used by a frame between two switches. When a frame arrives at a switch, it has a VCI, and when it leaves, it has a different VCI. You can see this example. So this is a packet of data which is having an incoming virtual circuit identifier as 14. After passing this switch, the packet has a different virtual circuit identifier which is 77. What are the three phases in virtual circuit network? So as in a circuit switch network, a source and destination need to go through three phases in a virtual circuit network, that is setup, data transfer and tear down. In the setup phase, the source and destination use their global address to help switches to make an entry in their table. In the tear down phase, the source and destination inform the switches to delete the corresponding entry. The data transfer occurs between these two phases. In data transfer phase, to transfer a frame from a source to the destination, all switches need to have a table entry for their virtual circuit. This table will have 4 columns. This means that this switch hold 4 pieces of information for each virtual circuit that is already set up. So this will show the switch and table in the virtual circuit. So here each table will have 4 entries: for incoming, port number and virtual circuit identifier; for outgoing, port number and virtual circuit identifier. So here a frame that is arriving at port 1 with an virtual circuit identifier 14. So whenever this frame arrives, the switch will look at its table to find port number 1 and VCI 14. When it found that entry, the switch knows to change the VCI into 22 and forward this frame to port 3. That is, you can see for this packet, when it will go out, it will have the virtual circuit identifier as 22 and output port number as 3. Similarly, if you go for the second frame, its virtual identifier is 77 and incoming port number is 77, outgoing port number is 2 and VCI is 41. This one. This figure will show how a frame from source A reaches the destination B and how its VCI changes during the trip. So here, each switch will changes the VCI and route the frame. So here you can see for this particular data packet from A to reach B. So initially the data packet will have VCI as 14. So the first switch check the corresponding table entry. It will identify that output port number is 3 and VCI is 66. So this particular switch will check its table for VCI 66 in port number 1, output port is 2 and VCI is 22. So VCI is changed into 22 and it is forwarded into the next switch. So next switch will check its table and it will identify for incoming port number 2 with VCI 22, outgoing port number is 3 and VCI is 77. So it will change as VCI into 77 and through output port number 3 it will forward that into B. So in setup phase, a switch create an entry for the virtual circuit. For example, suppose a source A need to create a virtual circuit to B. These two steps are required, that is the setup, request and acknowledgement. The following diagram will show the source request in the virtual circuit network. So here a setup request frame is sent from the source to the destination. We'll see this one step by step. So here A wants to communicate with B. So initially A sent a setup frame to switch 1. So switch 1 receives this setup request frame. It knows that frame going from A to B has to go through port number 3. For the time being, we will assume that it will know to which output port it has to forward. Now the switch will create an entry in the table for this virtual circuit by stating incoming port number as 1, VCI as 14, outgoing number as 3, but you can observe VCI is not yet assigned. So here only 3 columns are filled. So it does not know the outgoing VCI, which will be found during the acknowledgement setup. The switch then forward this frame through port number 3 to switch 2. Switch 2 will receive this setup request. The same event happens here. 3 columns are filled with incoming port number as 1, VCI as 66 and outgoing port number as 2. And switch 3 will receive this setup request frame. Again 3 columns are filled. Incoming port number 2, VCI 22, outgoing port number as 3. The destination will then receive this setup frame, and if it is ready to receive frames from A, it will assign a VCI to the incoming frame that comes from A. In this case, it will assign VCI as 77. This VCI let the destination know that frames will come from A, not from any other source. The next one is acknowledgement. A special frame called as acknowledgement frame completes the entries in the switching table. That is, outgoing VCI entry is completed using the acknowledgement phase. So here again, we will start from here. The destination send an acknowledgement to switch 3. This acknowledgement carries the global source and destination address so that switch will know which entry in the table has to be completed. This frame also carries VCI as 77, which is chosen by the destination for the incoming frames from A. So switch 3 uses this VCI to complete its outgoing VCI column for this entry. That is, now this VCI is filled as 77 for switch B. Now note that 77 is the incoming VCI for destination B, but the outgoing VCI for switch 3. Now switch 3 will send an acknowledgement to switch 2 that contain incoming VCI in the table 22. Here you can see incoming, this is 20, outgoing packet contain 22. So switch 2 will use this as outgoing VCI in the table. Now switch 2 sends an acknowledgement to switch 1 that contain its incoming VCI in the table chosen in the previous step, and switch 1 uses this as outgoing VCI in the table. Finally, switch 1 sends an acknowledgement to A that contain its incoming VCI in the table chosen in the previous step. The source uses this as the outgoing VCI for the data frames to be sent to the destination B. That is VCI 14. Last one is the tear down phase. In this phase, source A, after sending all the frames to B, send a special frame called as tear down request. Destination B responds with a tear down confirmation frame. All switches will delete their corresponding entries in their table. Now, what's the efficiency of this network? In a virtual circuit switching, all packet belongs to the same source and destination travel the same path, but the packet may arrive at the destination with different delays if the resource allocation is on demand. So there is one big advantage in virtual circuit. Even if the resources are on demand, the source can check the availability of the resources without actually reserving it. So this will show the delay associated with a circuit switched network. In a virtual circuit network, there is one-time delay for setup and one-time delay for tear down. If resources are allocated during setup phase, there is no wait time for individual packets. So you can see this is the setup phase and there is no wait time in each of the switches. You can observe this one, and this is the tear down phase. So for example, if you consider the packet is traveling through two switches or two routers, there are totally 3 transmission times and 3 propagation times and 1, 2 and 3 and 3 transmission times. 3 transmission times are indicated by 3T, 3 propagation times can be represented by 3-2, and data transfer will be shown by these lines. A setup delay that can also be included and a tear down delay. So total delay can be calculated as 3T plus 3-2 plus setup delay plus tear down delay. So circuit switch technology in WAN. The switching at the data link layer in a switched WAN is normally implemented using a virtual circuit technology. This is all about switching chapter. Thank you.